Welcome back to the cEDH Network. I'm your host, Dan, and today in this video, we are going to be doing a Mulligan guide and some test hands for my Rona Herald of Invasion cEDH deck. If you guys didn't already watch the comprehensive deck tech on Rona, I suggest that maybe you pause this video, go ahead and check that out, and then come back, because this is going to be more about seeing the deck in action and going over the Mulligan strategies, whereas the comprehensive video tells you kind of the idea of the deck, our intention when piloting, so on and so forth. But if you're feeling crazy and you want to watch this one first, that's fine. I'll link the other one at the end of this guy. That's all the housekeeping I got for you guys here in this intro, so let's just jump right into it and talk about some Mulligan strategies and test hands. All right, y'all, we are in the Moxfield playtester. We have a hand here. We're going to run through some test hands, see if we can't see some live action. How does this thing actually work out? I can tell you right away, this one is a throwaway. It's kind of close. We have Ceta, Synoid, and Mox Opal, so we're one artifact away from having that on and being halfway to our combo, but the rest of the hand is way too expensive. We don't have a tutor or anything like that, so we're going to throw it away. Restart. Next stand here could be good, but we are really tight on mana. We have the Retraction Helix and an island. We can go into a Mockingbird if we were assuming something like an Esper Sentinel. But again, the rest of it is really clunky, and with just the one land, we're going to ditch it. We are now looking at our 6, and things are kind of interesting here. We do have Mox Opal and Wishclaw and Agatha. So we have the ability to have our Mox Opal on, but the tricky thing here with the Wishclaw is we actually have to give it away when we want to get the Retraction Helix, but there is a world in which this kind of works out for us. We do have to pitch a card. We have Misdirection Seagate, which is interesting for early interaction. I really wish this Mox Opal was a Mox Amber. If I was going to start this out, of course we would just go down with our Watery Grave, do nothing, go into our second turn, cast Rona, go into our third turn. We could be looking at a turn 3 win, right? Let's just kind of put it out to visualize. So we have Watery Grave, blah de blah. Let's say we have our Seagate Restoration down, turn 2 Rona. All right, now going to turn 3, ignoring our draws, we're looking at City of Traders. We're looking at 4 mana. We have the ability to City of Traders down and a black for Wishclaw Talisman float 1. We do have the ability to deploy our Soul Cauldron by adding another mana in here. Both the Soul Cauldron and the Mox Opal, when we cast it, are going to give us untaps on Rona for 2 loots. We now have an active Mox Opal. Before we throw out the Wishclaw, we can tap it to get our Wishclaw mana and activate. But this is kind of the pickle we're at, right? We get Retraction Helix off of this, but we don't have the additional mana to cast the Retraction Helix, and now our Mox Opal is turned off until we have the additional mana to recast our Wishclaw. This one is kind of almost it. I think if we were on even like a lower Mulligan, because again, we have to ditch one of these cards, I think I might be thinking about keeping this, but for me, I would go down to 5. Taking a look at our 5, and it is also not looking good. Unfortunately, we already have our Surveil in hand, but that's okay. We can bottom that thing. We could bottom our Malevolent Hermit or our Narset, as neither are really necessary right now. I would probably bottom the Malevolent Hermit because Narset at least gives us a little bit of card advantage. But even with that 5, we're not looking at anything terribly good. We have turn 1 Surveil and turn 2 Commander, maybe a turn 3 Heuristic Study. I don't like it. We're going to 4. Of course, our 4 is going to give us a no-lander, make it easy. We will go to 3. On our 3, we're looking at something relatively interesting. So we have the One Ring and a Mana Vault, which of course calls out to me instantaneously. And we have a land so that we can look at a turn 2, the One Ring. We also have a Lotus Petal, which could give us our turn 1 Rona, but without any other ability to kind of pivot into our regular combo, we are going to go ahead and keep that. So for having to bail that into a 3, this isn't too bad. You could have kept that hand earlier I was talking about if you wanted to be a little bit riskier, but keep a higher hand count. But this kind of works out for us. We'll take a draw. We will play out our seats, play out our vault, and then we will pass. We'll take another draw. Not good. We'll tap these down to cast our One Ring, tap it down, draw a card. Dang, dude, these draws are terrible. We will tap down our ring, draw 2. We have a Tarnished Citadel. We are able to tap 2 and get out Rona. Going into turn 4, we have tap the ring to draw 3. 1, 2, 3. And all of a sudden, we're looking at something kind of interesting. We, of course, have our Chrome Mox, which we can lay down and pitch this Snapcaster to. We can then play our Seagate Restoration as a land for turn. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana, the ability to do some looting, and we have a Retraction Helix. We don't have enough really to ideally Spellseeker for the way to get the Mox Amber, because the best way to do this would be to Spellseeker into Transmute, but we're 1 mana short from being able to do that. If we Spellseeker into Vampiric Tutor or something like that, it has to go to the top deck. We could decon for it, so we could Spellseeker decon for Mox Amber, cast Retraction Helix. I think that's what we might do if we wanted to be like insane or thought this was a window because it's turn 4. So for the hell of it, let's go ahead and say we did it. So let's tap down 1, 2, 3, 4. We have Spellseeker coming in. Let's go ahead and move the hand over to the graveyard for a second, and we will go ahead and find our Demonic Consultation. We are going to cast it, and we'll name Mox Amber. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are not dead. Let's move that stuff over to exile and go digging for Mox Amber. Okay, we found our Mox Amber. That's going to go to our hand, and we will put the rest of the stuff to exile. We will go ahead and move our hand back over, and now we have the ability, and we could even get a nice little loot here, so we might as well. We'll tap, we'll draw a Scheming Symmetry. We will discard the Malevolent Hermit. Now we have the ability to play out our Mox Amber, get an untap on Rona. We're going to tap the Mox Amber, cast our Retraction Helix on Rona. Maybe they have interaction. Again, we're seeking a window. We probably wouldn't have pushed here, especially this aggressively, if we didn't think that, if we thought that people had interaction in hand. So let's assume they don't. Our Retraction Helix resolves. We're good to go. We will then tap our Rona to bounce our Mox Amber, creating 1 blue. Recast the Mox Amber, untap the Rona, tap the Mox Amber, create a blue, so on and so forth. Continue the loop. We will exit the loop like so and have infinite blue mana, which we will then go and cast our Narset. We'll have an untapped trigger. We'll tap it. Narset will give us an untap, and then we can start to draw out our library through Narset. Now, I don't remember exactly what we exiled, but there's a couple pieces that are traditional outlets that we can get through. I'm pretty sure we exiled our Walking Ballista, which we did. We did not exile our Thassa's Oracle, so we could get through that. And I believe we did not discard our exile our Ashiok. So Ashiok can exile our opponent's libraries, or our Thoracle win after we draw our library. GG, this is turn 4 on a mold of 3. Alrighty, let's look at another one here, and we have a relatively interesting hand. We have a Urza Saga, which is incredibly powerful, and a Lotus Petal, which represents us a turn 1 Rona. The only issue here is that our other land is a City of Traders, so we're locked down to kind of colorless mana after turn 1. But with a turn 1 Rona out, and knowing that we're going to be able to crack the Urza Saga on turn 3 to get the Mox Amber, things could definitely be worse. If we do find another colored land and we can deploy it intelligently, we're able to end step this Mystical Teachings to be able to go get our Retraction Helix. But we are looking at the earliest, a turn 3 presentation, maybe turn 4. So in that instance, I think we are going to mulligan since it's a first 7. Second 7, kind of interesting. We have, very interesting. The only bummer is that we have this Mox Diamond with no second land to be able to pitch to it, but we do have a Chrome Mox, which can go ahead and eat one of these things like a Tezzeret. We have a Watery Grave, and this gives us our turn 1 Rona. We have Transmute, which can find our Mox Amber. We have Tainted Pact, which can find our Retraction Helix if we needed to. I don't know exactly what we're going to do with the diamond, but we do have the One Ring to pivot into if we wanted to. It does make our Transmute feel like a little bit worse, and unfortunately we don't have the mana immediately presented to be able to guarantee this One Ring, but this is not a bad hand. I'm kind of tempted to go down lower to find something with a little bit more of a guarantee because it's only second 7, but this is a hand I might play out, so let's just see how it goes. We'll draw and we rip a land. This is perfect. So we'll just play out our Watery Grave and our Mox Diamond, pitching our island, and then we have the ability to tap down for our turn 1 Rona. Just to get it out there, we'll play our Chrome Mox and we will ditch our Tezzeret. Now going into turn 2, we're going to draw a Lotus Petal. This is pretty cool. We do have the ability to play out our One Ring, obviously, but we can also cast out our Lotus Petal and just win the game, which is kind of cool. So we'll be able to play out our Lotus Petal. We can use our Mox Diamond and our Watery Grave here, and we can throw out this Tainted Pact, but we can also use our Lotus Petal and our Tezzeret here to play out our Transmute. Sequencing wise, I'd like to transmute first because I don't want to run the risk of exiling our Mox Amber, so I will transmute Artifact, but I will float the mana here. I would like to get rid of this Chromox, and then we will transmute Artifact the Chromox. Now luckily we are finding a Mox Amber, so it doesn't really matter that we can't pay any additional because we're going 0 to 0. So Mox Amber comes into play. We now have the ability to tap it for mana as well. So we will go ahead. And tap the Mox Amber and the Watery Grave to cast a Tainted Pact. We'll put the One Ring over here for a second and we'll start Tainted Pacting. Now we are looking for a Retraction Helix or Banishing Knack. Hopefully we don't just blow the whole thing looking for that. We do get Retraction Helix. Cool, we'll stop there. Now all of this stuff is going to go to exile. Boo-hoo. We have One Ring, Retraction Helix. We're going to tap our Mox Diamond and we will cast our Retraction Helix. Again, this is turn 2, so we're going to assume that we get it off. If we don't, we're a little blown out. It kind of sucks, but such is life. Retraction Helix goes off. We tap our Rona, bounce our Mox Amber, recast our Mox Amber, untap our Rona. We tap our Mox Amber, so on and so forth. We present the loop. We make infinite blue mana, and we exit the loop as so. We then cast our One Ring, tap it, draw a card, and then we tap Rona to bounce the One Ring, use our infinite mana to recast, untap trigger, draw a card, tap Rona, bounce it, so on and so forth, to draw out the rest of our library. Now, what we are looking for usually to have our clean wins is going to be Ashiok, which exiles all our opponent's libraries, Thassa's Oracle, which just wins us the game for having nothing in the library, or Walking Ballista, which I know for a fact we still did not exile. And there he is. So we will grab Walking Ballista. We have the rest of our deck in our hand, more or less. We play it smart, so we don't necessarily get blown out. We then play our Walking Ballista and win the game. Pretty cool. Let's look at another one. Okay, this one's kind of interesting as well. I think I just kind of say that every time. But we're looking at Moonsilver Key or Teleria West. Both these guys can find us our Mox Amber. I don't really love seeing Snapcaster early. He's kind of a late gamer gifts card. We do have the Chromox that we can pitch him to. So we can Polluted Delta for Water Grave. We can Polluted Delta for Underground Sea. Dude, I'm pilled on that Proxyless tournament. We get Chromox pitching the Snapcaster Mage, and this gives us a turn 1 Rona. I'm just kind of thinking through it. I could still maybe mulligan this guy. We have a Mindbreak Trap for early interaction. The only thing I don't like is we don't have another generic tutor or way to finish out our combo, but everything else is pretty much there. Again, if this wasn't a first 7, I might keep it, especially if it's like a little bit lower in the mole. But I think I could pitch it, but we'll keep it and kind of see where it goes for the fun of it. So I already kind of played out the first turn, so we'll do that here. We'll bin this. We will go get Underground Sea, put it to the battlefield. Let's see what happens. We'll get a good shuffle. I don't know if I did or not. So bada bing, bada boom. There's our turn 1. Oh, we get to draw. Whoops. There you go. Okay, that's kind of interesting. So we'll hang on to that. Next turn, we draw a land, which is unfortunate, but we already have the Mox Amber. So let's go ahead and tap down the Rona for a draw discard. We'll go to City of Traders. We'll save the Teleria West for potentially an outlet maybe. We have 3 other lands, so let's go ahead and discard this Morphic Pool. Then, because we drew the Mox Amber, we can go ahead and cast that. We get an untap trigger on Rona, which can allow us to do another loop. So let's tap Rona. We are going to draw a Retraction Helix, which is pretty insane. Now, we do have a tapped Rona. And we do have to discard something. So this is going to be interesting because we actually have Teleria West or the Moon Silver Key here. Both of these. Okay, here's what we're going to do. So we'll discard this Marsh Flats. And then we're going to go ahead and tap 3. And we can go ahead and transmute this Moon Silver Key. I'm sorry, transmute the Teleria West to go and find Mox Opal. Blah. So we'll find Mox Opal to hand, which we can then cast, getting an untap on Rona. Metalcraft is active, so this is good to go. So we can tap it down and cast this Retraction Helix. Retraction Helix target Rona. It's turn 2, so hopefully it resolves. If it does, awesome. If not, we have a Mind Break Trap that it probably isn't relevant. So Rona can then tap and produce our infinite combo for both of our colors, which we can then pivot into casting a Moon Silver Key, cracking it, and searching up a Mightstone and Weakstone. Whoops. To hand, which we can then cast and continue our combo, tapping to bounce the Mightstone, Weakstone, recasting, so on and so forth. Each ETB will draw us 2 cards, and then we win with Thoracle. All right, let's take a look at another one here. This one is kind of interesting. We have a land, we got 3 artifacts, we have an active Mox Opal for half of our combo, and a pretty decent amount of mana. I wish we had a tutor. We do have a Born Upon the Wind and a Force. This is kind of interesting, so I say we keep this for sure, although we have to get like a decent draw to actually go through our main combo, but I like it. So we'll draw a card. We have Gifts Ungiven, which is kind of interesting. Let's play Polluted Delta. We will go ahead and run this guy into an Underground Sea. Close up and shuffle. We have our Chromox coming out turn 1, and what do we want to pitch? This feels like a game where we want to go fast, so we kind of want to pitch Born. We don't really need Thoracle though, although it is nice. In this situation, I'd probably pitch Born or Thoracle. If I'm feeling really greedy, I think I just pitch Born and assume like I'm not going to need to be like engineering the stack at some point. Otherwise, if we're feeling like super confident, I just pitch Thoracle and just go full Rona combo for the win. But I hate losing that like second win con to exile just in case I get blown out. So we'll pitch Born. So sad, Born gone. Then we will tap 1 to cast this Mana Vault. Then we'll cast this Mox Opal to make it live with Metalcraft and tap the 2, leaving Mana Vault up to cast Rona. Moving into turn 2 here, sorry for the draw. I do want to consider things in upkeep. We do have the ability to upkeep our Gifts Ungiven, which we need our Retraction Helix, but unfortunately Gifts Ungivening here in upkeep and then having to do with the Snapcaster Mage to get the Retraction Helix wouldn't leave us enough mana, so we'll want to sandbag that for the end step if that's indeed what we want to go with. So we'll just draw. We draw the Undercity and the Undercity Sewers, which is not the best. Let's go ahead and tap Rona for a draw discard, see if we get a better land. We get a Marsh. It's really not better in this situation since we don't plan on doing much else with our mana, but it does allow us to keep the Mana Vault accessible. Here's where we really have to think about what we're doing with the Gifts Ungiven. If I end step it for our main combo, I don't really have the outlet to go through after that. If instead I go in it for the Snapcaster Mage combo, I already have the Thoracle in hand, so we can get Snapcaster Decon, Tainted, guarantees us the other half of Thoracle, and maybe like a piece of interaction or Retraction Helix or something. They don't want to give us the Retraction Helix because we already have the Mox Opal, which means they're going to give us Snapcaster. No, they don't want to give us that, so they give us Tainted or Decon. Well, that's a pretty good pile. I guess the worst they could hose us is like not at all. I like that. Okay, so if that's the case, then going into the next turn, I'm going to want to be able to go Thoracle, tainted if that is what I'm given. So I kind of don't want the so I don't need the mana vault mana per se. Okay, I've kind of sold myself. I think I'd rather have the surveil. So we'll go ahead and ditch the March Flats. We'll play down the surveil, and we'll surveil. We have a D grid. That's kind of interesting. Now I'm regretful, because if we were able to go into the next turn with the mana vault mana, we could have a D grid out. So that's kind of interesting. If I wanted to be crazy, I could keep the D grid now, because they're going to give me Tainted Pact. Snapcaster, I think that makes the most sense. No, because it can't give me Snapcaster. So if they give me Snapcaster, I'm literally showing on board Snapcaster, Retraction, Win. So they give me Tainted Decon, and then none of this matters. Okay, I'll go ahead and bin that then. Okay, I will pass turn here, and end step, I'm going to Mana Vault and a land to Gifts Ungiven. This is turn 2. Let's present it resolves, but I do have Force of Will just if need be. We're going to go ahead and find Retraction Helix, Snapcaster, Demonic Consultation, and Tainted Pact. And I would say that the best thing they could probably give me in this situation would be to give me the things that just represent the most mana to have to do something. They can't give me Snapcaster or Retraction Helix theoretically, because I already present the Mox Opal, so that just says win the game, more or less. But I think that they'd be afraid to give me these as well. So I guess the die roll here is, in this situation, if they think I have an outlet in my hand or not, or if they think that deep into it, which I don't know that they would, to be honest. And even if they did, I would surprise them at the end by Snapcaster reset to recast Gifts. So either way, the gamble doesn't look good for them. They could instead, what I would maybe do is give Snapcaster Tainted, because this forces me to go full tap down 3 mana for the Retraction line, and forces me to tap down 3 mana for the Retraction line, forces me to tap down potentially all 4 of my mana if I have the Thassa line. I don't know, there's not really a great choice here. I could give Decon Retraction, but again, same type of deal. I think this is a tough pile. You can mill about this for a while, but I guess I think most people will probably be like, I don't know, give them the things that cost most mana. So let's say they give us the Tainted and Snapcaster, and then I go to my turn. Okay, now things are looking interesting. I would say in this situation, I would probably end up going for the Retraction Helix, and I'll tell you why. Because if I go for the Thassa, even though it's a strong combo and I do have backup for it regardless, okay, well, caveat, if somebody has a Mystic Remora or a Fish in this situation, I'm going probably for Thassa's Tainted so I don't have to feed. If there isn't a Mystic Remora Fish, I'm probably going for the Snapcaster line, because this is the line in which I get blown out the least, and I can still sandbag Thassa's Tainted for the following turn. Unlike if I did Thassa's Tainted now and got blown out, I would not be able to do a next turn attempt. So I think the safest way here is to just Snapcaster. So we tap 2 and we Snapcaster, targeting the retract. Oh, what did I do? Oh, there it is. My bad, y'all. View all. Targeting the Retraction Helix. I will get the Retraction Helix by casting it here. Put it onto Rona. If somebody has interaction, I attempt to stop that interaction with a Force of Will, exiling the Mystical Teachings. If that is enough to stop it, then I now have Rona combo through Mox Amber, getting enough mana to then I can Tainted Pact for the other option, or I can reset Snapcaster, bounce Snapcaster, Rona would be tapped, recast Snapcaster, and go into my graveyard for the Gifts Ungiven. This is where we make the pile that we discussed in the deck tech. I would go and find the Agatha Soul Cauldron, Walking Ballista, Fairy Mastermind, and let's just say the One Ring. No matter what choice they give me, I'm on Infinite Blue. All of these are just pretty much sinks where I don't have to worry about the Rona, except for the One Ring, of course. But if they give me the One Ring, then I just cast the One Ring and I get an untap on Rona anyway. So with no interaction here, that's a GG. With interaction, if I did get stopped, I'm sitting pretty. I wait until turn 4 and then I just jam a Thassa's Tainted. All right, let's try one more, guys, just to seal the deal. Let's see if we can get a bad one. So this is a bad one. This one doesn't do jack shit anything, and we're saying goodbye. Okay, turn 2. This is interesting. Now look, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, this is a turn 3 a win with an outlet, half for a combo, and a tutor. So it's just really hard to pass something like this up. Pretty good amounts of mana, lots of ways to pivot into mid-range, even if they have the interaction. If we're in a high seed, this is kind of a really great hand. I wish it was a turn 2. I wish we had that turn 1 Rona, but you never know. Maybe we'll grip it. It's kind of just too good to throw away, even though it's second 7. So we'll play it out. Draw a card. Force Will, beautiful. Love it. Love to see it. As far as our turn 1 is concerned, I think it actually just makes most sense to get the Agathas out fast. So let's go ahead and tap down the Ancient Tomb and cast Agathas. It's kind of weird in the bubble here. If I was expecting to see a Ristic Fish, I might sandbag this so that I can use it with Rona once I'm live with my combo to get a bounce. But let's pretend for the sake of it, I want it out early to try to pressure graveyards. And here we go, we could, so why not? Next turn, we are going to draw a Fabricate. That's kind of interesting. We get to play out our Watery Grave, or rather our Command Tower. We'll tap 2 and we will play out Rona. We don't have anything else to do here, but we do have a Force Will to save up for somebody else's turbo attempt, and hopefully we're still in a higher seed order, so this is looking like good pacing. Next turn, we're going to draw Narset. This is really nice, guys. A great clean turn 3 attempt. We come down with a Watery Grave. Now here we have some options. Ironically, we could Demonic Tutor, but why, right? We don't really need to blow our better tutors here. So instead, let's go, Instead, let's go ahead and tap down the Ancient Tomb. By the way, this is turn 3, not 4. I just hit the next turn button. Tap 2 and a blue, and we'll go ahead and launch this Fabricate. We will search up the Mox Amber to hand, and we have excess here that we can even go ahead and, again, if this was a particular situation where we're worried about like a Ristic or a Fish, even before the Fabricate, we could have tapped to play the Retraction Helix on Rona to get an additional bounce here before the Mox Amber cast. Again, goldfishing, let's pretend that that's not the case because I didn't do it, and then we'll tap Rona for a draw discard instead. We get an opposition agent. We're just going to go ahead and bin it. We don't really need it. We'll cast the Mox Amber. We'll get an untap. We'll then use the Mox Amber to cast the Retraction Helix. If they have some kind of interaction, lucky for us, so do we. So we will Force of Will, whatever their answer is. We have 2 ways to just kind of win out the game through Tezzeret and Narset. I think the best choice here for Exile is just, if we're completely blown out, which one do I want to pivot into? And currently I don't present. Oh, I do, actually. So currently, I still kind of think Narset's just better because I can Narset D-tutor next turn. If I needed to, whereas Tezzeret would have to be like a solo play. So we'll go ahead and get rid of Tezzeret. If we can assume that that was enough to stop them, then cool. We have our infinite mana combo into our Narset for our outlet to draw out our library, win through whatever. If we assume we get stopped, oh, so sad. We move into the next turn rotation. We're going to do a tap, draw, discard on the way just to clear off the top, and we'll go to the next turn. Again, this is turn 4, not 5. I just hit that button. This is great. We get a Flusterstorm. We're able to go for another protected win attempt here, which is pretty cracked. So we'll tap down the Ancient Tomb. We'll leave one floating. We'll tap this and we'll detutor for our other option, which I think is the Banishing Knack. We'll get the Banishing Knack to hand. We will tap Mox Amber, cast Banishing Knack, target Rona. If they have interaction, we have a Flusterstorm. If they don't have interaction, cool, we're off to the races and we draw a deck with Narset. Bada bing. Turn 3 into turn 4, back-to-back protected win attempts. Pretty hot. All right, for posterity, let's get one more example. We have gemstone is always interesting when goldfishing. You got to presume you're in a lower seat, right? 75% chance. If gemstone was alive, we do have turn 1 Rona, excess mana. Mystical teachings can eventually find us a retraction. We have an early days and a git probe. This is kind of interesting. I do like that it turns 1 Rona and turn 2 I can mystical teachings for the retraction helix. I'm still kind of missing pieces. It is first 7, so I don't even know if I would genuinely keep this, but we've been hitting pretty fire ones for like demo hands, so let's keep this and hope that it kind of miffs on us. We get the gemstone now. I don't know what I would pitch because I kind of want to be able to mystical teachings guaranteed, so I don't really want to get rid of Morphic Lotus or Underground. I could get rid of Daze. It's not the most insane thing, but it's my only piece of early interaction. I know it's got to be Git Probe, but I like to draw a card. Whatever, get rid of Git Probe. Goodbye. Then we go into our turn. We'll draw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Yeah, okay, I did the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, okay. Imperial Seal. Fantastic. This is looking amazing. So we will play out a Morphic Pool. We will tap 2 and play out. Oh, sorry, not a Morphic Pool. Underground Sea. What am I talking about? Underground Sea for the Days and Rona. We'll also cast our Lotus Petal. We could Imperial Seal here, which is kind of tempting, but our only other tutor is this Mystical Teachings, and I think I'd rather be safe with it anyway. So we'll go ahead and sandbag it. We'll go to our next turn. There we go. We got Fabricate. It's incredible. We have Morphic Pool, land for turn. We have 4 total mana, and the ability to crack Imperial Seal. It's a freaking turn 2. Okay. All right, here we go, guys. So we will go ahead and get rid of this Lotus Petal, tap 2, and we will Fabricate. We will find ourselves a Mox Amber to hand. We will use the remaining land and cast an Imperial Seal. We will find a Retraction Helix. We will put it to the top. We will tap Rona, draw Retraction Helix, discarding Mystical Teachings. We will cast Mox Amber on tap Rona, use Mox Amber, cast Retraction Helix on Rona. If they have interaction, we have a Daze. If they don't have interaction, which it's only turn 2, we're in the freaking money. I think it is very healthy to assume that this happened and it worked out great. Now you'd be thinking, oh damn, but like what the heck, where am I going? This is exactly why we are on the Mystical Teachings. So we get our combo, we tap Rona, balance, so on and so forth. You guys have seen this already. Make infinite blue mana. This is the one niche case scenario where we actually have to flip Rona, losing 2 life, and use our last activation of the Mox Amber for a black. Now we can go ahead and cast that Mystical Teachings for flashback, which allows us to search our library for an instant. Now again, we have infinite blue, so in this situation we could go and get a Fairy Mastermind if we wanted to manually draw, or we could get Gifts Ungiven if we wanted to make it more clean. So let's get Gifts. Cast Gifts Ungiven. The first thing we're going to want to grab is going to be Teleria West, because this will just tutor us straight up our Walking Ballista. Then we want to grab our Trinket Mage, which will also tutor us our Walking Ballista. Then we want to grab our Snapcaster, because Snapcaster can target the Fabricate in our grave to get our Walking Ballista. And with these 3 cards, no matter what we get, we do end up getting an opportunity to get our Walking Ballista into our hand. I think for contingency, the 4th card we get probably is that Fairy Mastermind. Now, they're going to give us the Fairy Mastermind, presumably because that's their best way to kind of stop us, presumably they get to draw. And I guess they probably give us Teleria West because it seems like it's the most narrow. Resources don't matter because we're already infinite. These guys will go to the graveyard. We will then transmute our Teleria West, and we will go find our Walking Ballista. Walking Ballista in hand, cast for infinite, win the game. Worst case scenario, we also have Fairy Mastermind backup for a draw. All right, y'all, that's going to wrap it up for our test hands and mulligan guide. Now, if you are curious at this point and didn't watch the deck why I look completely different at a completely different time of day during the intro and outro of this one, it's actually because originally the test hands and mulligans were buried inside the deck, but it was some megalithic video. So editor Dan had to come in and clean it up for you. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. And if you're feeling really motivated, curious, and just loving Rona, feel free to reach out to me, join up at the Rona Discord or at the cEDH Network Discord, or just hit me up in the DMs or YouTube comments, and I'm happy to answer any questions or give some advisement. And if there's enough interest, and if I continue to actually perform well with the deck, maybe I'll even offer some coaching if this really kind of grows and takes off. But that's it, y'all. So good luck out there, and I'll catch you next time.